Yeah, I got the biggest smile on my face because I'm like, whoa, it had to happen for me to learn, you
Yes,
know?
and that this is part of the process that nobody gets out of this earth situation alive. you know,
News flash.
nobody gets out of this life. What we can hope for is that we gain enough that we graduate. You know, let's just graduate to the next level. So there's no hope to getting out alive.
Don't be a flunky. Don't be- Come back on the short bus.
There is an ancient healing technique that has the power to transform your life. The technique, called Hoponopono, was demonstrated by the true story of Dr. Hugh Len, a therapist who healed an entire ward of dangerous mentally ill criminals by simply repeating 4 statements to himself over and over and over again. The 4 statements are, "I'm sorry," "Please forgive me," "Thank you," and "I love you." By repeating these 4 statements to yourself when focusing on any issue, you will clear any negative energy you harbor around it. By clearing your negative energy, the world reflects that inner change through changing the energetic blueprint in the quantum field. What you say to yourself and feel about yourself changes your world.
A guy named Dr. Hugh Len. He was brought in as a doctor to look at this in a psych ward. Within 2 years of using Ho'oponopono, the inmates that were violent and the inmates that were there, many of them were transferred to other facilities. The vibe completely switched around. There was a lot of healing that happened. Now, the interesting thing is that Dr. Hugh Len never actually met these people. What he explained is that reality is just data. Other people in our reality are reflections of our own inner reality. So what he would do is he would go through people's files and he would go, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." He would take 100% responsibility for their energy. By taking the responsibility and healing his image of them, there was something about them that started to heal.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun, and we will be talking about spiritual practices today. And we hope that you will find this very helpful in your experience as we move forward. Tarvars, would you begin by calling for the truth? And we invite all of you to join us.
Well, certainly. And we encourage you all tuning in to join us in the call for the truth. Should we call forth the frequency of truth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to speak the truth in all that we say? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? And so we are here. We're also here with the sun. I just got to say, the sun is beaming. The sun is the most powerful light source. These artificial lights ain't got nothing on the sun. I'm just saying. So again, we're here talking about practices and energy hygiene. And
Yes.
I know we have a couple of different stories. And I've had some personal experiences. We've had some clients with very powerful transformative experiences of taking back power, especially when they have found themselves in a vulnerable position, down and out, so to say, and utilizing these practices to completely flip the scenario, influence their reality, and they're on the up and up.
I'd like to open with the story about Hoponopono. So Hoponopono is a well-known mantra, an affirmation that is 4 phrases: thank you, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry. And this was brought to us through Dr. Hulen Hihakalea, through a book that was popularized by Joe Vitale. And in the book, Dr. Hihakalea shares his story. He was a psychologist living on the mainland, and he had a daughter who had eczema, and he was able to cure her eczema over time by using this practice. He was taught by a shaman whose name was Morna from Hawaii, whose mother had been the shaman for the Queen of Hawaii, or was called the Lady in Waiting. So she is a 2nd generation shaman as far as we know. She was Dr. Hu Hakalea's mentor. And what we know about her and him is that in the early days of them introducing this modified form of an ancient Hawaiian technique to bring peace, that this was taught, it was reconfigured into the current state it's in now of 4 phrases, but previously it had been used by ancient Hawaiians who were having disputes, or husbands and wives who were having disputes, where they would come together and face each other, and one would say, you know, thank you, and then say why they were thankful to the other. And this became a way of reconciling difficulties and regaining peace. So in the shortened 4-phrase form, it was introduced in the United States, and it wasn't really something popular, but classes were taught in the Eastern Bloc. So Dr. Hulen Hihakalea and Morna had gone to the Eastern Bloc during the time of the West Berlin Wall falling, and they were at the shrine of the Black Madonna doing this for a week before the fall of the wall, and they had people who they were teaching there who understood the significance of changing the frequency of the world they lived in, and there were amazing results as a result of that. Now it is well known, many people are familiar with it. It's a lot of information on the internet about it. A lot of people are doing it. And we use this also, this powerful form of affirmation, to great benefit and great results as well. We're going to talk about other forms today too, but this needed a little bit of history. If you are interested in knowing more, then you would look up the book called Zero Limits by Joe Vitale, and it's the story of Hoponopono. And I know Tarvars has a Hoponopono story, and I have many, 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 many clients who have used this, and I have myself used it to great advantage, and it's quite miraculous, but I'd like to talk about why. The reason why is because we know that people who say peace to one another in other countries are fighting harder than everybody else, longer, at more duration, more consistently. So people say shalom, or people say assalamu alaikum, and we see that they are consistently fighting. So we know that some frequencies are not enough to disrupt patterns of aggression. But the 4 frequencies of gratitude, reconciliation, so gratitude is thank you, I love you, please forgive me is reconciliation. And what's the other one? Thank you, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry. That these 4 together present an opportunity of a frequency set that can change the condition of whatever is going on in the person at the time who acknowledges these 4 frequencies. So when you use all 4 frequencies with the right intent, meaning I really want to change where I am abandoning my fear about what's going to happen. I'm abandoning my concern about the lower level of experience I'm having, and I'm reaching for gratitude. I'm reaching for love. I'm reaching for reconciliation. I am, in fact, sorry. That changes everything.
Yeah.
And there are many inspirational stories about this, but I know you have one.
Yeah,
Would
so
you share with us?
as you were speaking, what came to mind was that Hoponopono is a formula or a spiritual algorithm for transformation.
Excellent. Yes.
Yes. Again, the combination, the reconciliation plus gratitude plus forgiveness plus love, it creates something different than the frequencies being on their own. And so I have several, and I'd say that was one of the earlier practices, actually one of the first techniques that I learned from you. And when it was shared with me, I was a very early client. I think I had just gotten DNA, and I had made a desperate move of leaving my job, like taking headphones off, walking out. I can't do this incongruent stuff no more. I didn't tell the supervisor I'm quitting. I just left. But I left without a plan. Although I was inspired, the way my bank account was looking, wasn't working out. And so broad brushstrokes, rent is due. I don't get paid till the following week after the rent's due, and I'd be evicted by that time. So word gets to you, and you're like, look, 3 hours of Hoponopono. Now, mind you, we share with our clients who go through the energetic clearing protocol to do 1 hour. She told me 3. So apparently...
You were in a very emergency situation.
Needed a serious dose of the Pono. And I see it because when you're operating in a state of, and this is to give you some insight in the emotional and mental state of being I was beating myself up. So there was self-punishment. Even though I know it was incongruent, I was, damn, why did I do that? I was angry at myself. I was sad, dropped into depression. So all these different low emotions, fear, most certainly. All the different things that do not attract and entice abundance and opportunity to get that money.
Yeah.
So when you shared it with me, I did it. And it was funny as I look back, because I remember going to friends' houses and I was like, bro, all right, can I go in your backyard and just hang and just do my, I just need to like 40 minutes. I got to do this because the shaman I'm working with, she told me to do it. And like, yo, when you're desperate, when you ain't got no options, you gonna do it. And I did it. I honored it. And the money came. It came through within 3 days. Within 3 days. And so it was the money arrived on a Sunday. And Monday was the last day I had to give that money into the office. And it came through somebody who I didn't even know.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, the universe is benevolent and magnificent. And I allowed myself to move into the vibrational frequency to be able to receive. And ever since then, I became not only an advocate, but I wanted to share this with other people because I saw the power. I knew that I knew that I knew.
Yes.
That it wasn't nothing but the Pono. So thank you for that moment in time. And yeah, that's my story.
I love the way you spoke about it, that it's an algorithm, because it is. It's an algorithm of a frequency set that will, combined with the right energy, will offset whatever else is already pushing its way in. So often there's an avalanche of things that happen to us, especially when a person chooses to step into a new spiritual experience. And this is why we're like, I can't keep these headphones on. I can't do this anymore. I need to do something else. So this is a normal process. Often people find that the people in their lives change. Their jobs change. You know, many of the things you used to like or want to eat changes. So when you step into that moment, and then there's this instant retaliation, so to say, from the gravitational pull of the set that you were in. And it's like, oh no, you're not going to just step out of here. We're going to pull you back in here. There's going to be suffering. There's going to be pain.
Yeah.
You know, we like fear in this scenario. This whole world is run from suffering and pain. The antidote is, thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. You are not talking to a deity outside of yourself.
That part.
You are talking to you. You are saying to yourself, I love me. I'm grateful that I am me. I'm so sorry for whatever I did in the past. Let's start over. Let me reconcile. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's start over. And the universe hears you. So you're not praying, so to say, to an outside force. You're speaking directly to your soul and to your connection to all that is.
I think that's one of the most important factors, because we've seen many clients who have came across Hoponopono, but they miss that very important component to reach the effectiveness. I'll share with them, hey, have you done it? Yeah, I've done it. Well, how's it worked out for you? Well, I mean,
maybe it worked, maybe it didn't.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But then when I share that little caveat or principle, changes everything.
But there's even more to this. There's this idea that when you are doing this and you know that you're not Hoponoponoing your boss, not Hoponoponoing the apartment complex, you're Hoponoponoing you, You know, when you're giving yourself the power to be you, like you give yourself the power of love, you give yourself the power of gratitude, you give yourself the power, I can restart. I don't have to be sorry for what I did yesterday. I can say, I acknowledge it, I take full responsibility, I'm the responsible party, and I want to do a do-over. Because I have learned something. I've learned to have a plan. In your case.
Yeah, most certainly.
So this idea of energy hygiene, so it is not only that is really important. Another very important aspect of Hoponopono is it only works as you feed it. All of us and all things in creation eat. All things blink, and all things are in response to everything else, as everything is connected. So when we do it, it works. When we don't do it, it doesn't. So if you do 15 minutes in the morning, or you do it, like a lot of people tell me, oh yeah, I do it before I go to bed. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
That bedtime prayer.
Yeah, it's not, you know,
It's
that,
not gonna hold you.
that 1 minute of, that's not gonna do it.
Offset the 17, 16 hours of negative, untrained
so
thought.
you have to offset your fear, your self-sabotage, your lack of planning. You have to offset that by having the clear intention of making sure that you are the responsible party, that you grab hold of this situation. I'm responsible. This is how I'm going to handle this. This is how I will respond to my ability to change the situation, the response and the ability. This is really important. And then you must feed it. And it's hungry because it's been eating the opposite thing. It's been eating fear and self-sabotage all day. Mm-hmm. So people who have come to me in extremely dire situations, if they will just do it, 3 days, the situation will turn around. But they can't do it in the frequency of fear or thinking that someone else is the responsible party. So that's the caveat. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have to recognize whatever it is. If I'm here, I must be the one responsible. The finger always points back to me. If it's my scenario, it's my scenario. So people often say to me, well, I've got somebody else's stuff. Well, that may be because you weren't responsible enough to claim your own stuff. So it always comes back to you. So in the energy of responsibility, all things are doable. So it's not the only one we have, but we really want to share with you in the time that's coming. This may be a handy thing for you to have and to use. I have used it myself. I did 3 hours a day for 3 years, and I am so pleased I did. No one probably will need to do that much because frequency is contagious. So when you do something long enough in your bedroom, then the bedroom starts to resonate at the frequency of whatever you're doing. So that goes for good and negative. Mm-hmm. So whatever, if you're yelling and screaming and acting up and having tantrums, that's the frequency of whatever that room is in. If you're doing Hoponopono, you're in gratitude and thanks and love, and you want to reconcile everything with the universe, that's the frequency. It's not complicated. So you want to fill your life with that. You want to see who can stay in the room with you after 2 hours of doing that.
Yeah. Change your whole reality.
A lot of people may pop out.
Mm-hmm.
May not,
Maybe there's some people who want that. Maybe that may inspire them. Ooh, I need to get some people up off of me. Raise your frequency. See if they can hold on. The elevation gets hard to breathe up there.
So the topic itself is to give you tools. This is a tool that's extremely simple, that if you feed it, it will give you back. It needs to be used for at least an hour a day if you have to offset some circumstance. But if you're in an emergency situation, we're going to give you 3 hours a day.
Hey.
And if you're in an emergency situation, you've probably got 3 hours a day to dedicate towards it.
That's right. I mean, when you're desperate,
you can find the time and the energy to do it.
Okay. So another practice, we have a myriad of different energy hygiene practices that are transformational. Shift your external reality through shifting your internal world. And I'd like to talk a little bit about calling for right thinking. This is a practice that you brought forth, and would you speak a little bit about this practice? What inspired you to even, first off, what is calling for right thinking, and what inspired you to bring this idea forth?
There, this is something interesting because people have a lot of varying opinions about it. Like people, well, your right might not be my right, or your truth might not be my truth. So what do you mean by right? So what we're talking about is what will make you substantial, strong, support the creation that you are, and give you the necessary things for you to prosper. That which removes that which is aggressing you. That's right thinking.
That
The
makes sense.
thinking that you have that makes you think that you're not good enough. The thinking you have that makes you think that you're not a part of divine creation. The thinking that you have that makes you think you're separate from all of creation. That is the opposite of right thinking. And then we could go on and on and on for listing the many things. But the idea of right thinking is you are in support of that which you are by original blueprint, by your original design. And that would mean that you're operating the physicality, the spiritual aspect of you, the mental aspects of you are working in clarity. And so the idea of right thinking is in itself its own consciousness. So it is a conscious understanding that you may call upon and ask it to enter you and to help organize you so that you represent that consciousness. So we encourage people to call upon right thinking when they know they just said something crazy. When they know that, everybody's saying, she's crazy. Got crazy in her eyes.
That's a whole nother story.
It is another story, but
I like to give
Yes.
a little example. I could see, well, what I've seen in my experience and that of others is when we're looking to manifest things, and sometimes our mind goes into worst case scenario,
yes.
seeing the wrong in a thing, and it could be something that you straight up want to attract, but just undisciplined, right? And I've seen calling for right thinking can kind of bring you back into where you need to be to attract the thing that you're looking for.
I like what you just said. There's this idea of kind of you go against your own best interests. Your own thinking put you on a horse and you go galloping down the field in the wrong direction, not towards what you want, but towards something maybe you saw on TikTok.
And it's almost like a horse. You're right. It's just like when you're wrong, you're going off. Like,
and then a lot of people dig in.
Yeah,
I'm wrong, but I'm gonna dig in.
Yeah.
So this is something you can sit with yourself and you can ask for your guidance, your ancestors, and all the aspects of you to come together to assist you. And you can spend 7 minutes calling for right thinking. I call for right thinking. I call for right thinking. I call for right thinking. You repeat this for however minutes long you would like to do it. You will feel something take place. You will feel something make an adjustment. And then you can speak to yourself, help me, prompt me to be in this frequency when I am moving in a direction that is against myself. Because the right is in me being what I am, what I have been created to be, what exists as a reality, not what I'm making up, but what actually exists as a reality that will support me in that experience.
The thought that's arising is these techniques, especially something like this, is moving the person into a form of self-mastery.
Yes.
Where you can, again, grab that conscious mind by the reins, reinform that subconscious, unconscious.
Yes.
Until you make it to the appropriate threshold where you're not working against yourself, and the stinking thinking becomes right thinking.
Yeah, when you stop bleeding on the floor.
Right.
When you have to call somebody
wrong.
else and complain about something terrible that's happening to you at work or in your relationship or with your parents. When you stop doing that, you're in the vicinity.
So there's something in addition to that. When you were teaching this, how is a thing right? To see how it's right. Right thinking, calling on right thinking, I see that it will help start moving your mind into, I see how this works out for me. That's actually how it works, like literally. Like your mind will, if you call it forth and then you pull up that circumstance, you'll start looking at it differently. And that's the power where, in every situation,
In
there is
every
that
situation.
golden nugget.
It is definitely the golden nugget where you can go back and you can look at some experience you had with someone who that was distasteful, that you're like, oh, no, 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 I don't even want to talk to that person. And then if you look at it through the lens of right thinking, you can think, oh my goodness, now I have the lesson that I needed to have to be the discerning individual that can now not only treat other people better because I've experienced that, but now I understand how that catapulted me into a place where I can choose better choices.
I got the biggest smile on my face because I'm like, whoa. It had to happen for me to learn.
Yes, and that this is part of the process that, nobody gets out of this earth situation alive.
Newsflash.
Nobody gets out of this life. What we can hope for is that we gain enough that we graduate. Let's just graduate to the next level. So there's no hope to getting out alive.
Don't be a flunky. Come back on the short bus.
So that's such a key thought, but that's something that we should be looking at all the time. Being mindful to not be in judgment of how wrong a thing is. Being mindful that we don't just see wrong everywhere and we're constantly in judgment, and then it's awkward for people to be around you because you have so much judgment. This is what happens as we age, that we've learned a lot and we've come to a lot of conclusions.
I just thought about this old saying. It's all flooding back to memory now. You would say something along the lines of, it doesn't take a genius to see how a thing is right. Everybody can see the fly in the milk,
yes,
but it requires someone of a higher elevation and consciousness to see, oh, how is it right that fly's in the milk? Well, maybe you were in a funky place where there were already flies and the fly was enticed. I mean, it couldn't help itself.
Maybe you didn't need to drink that milk.
Yeah, maybe it was spoiled or something, but the point is that right thinking is of a higher consciousness and elevation. It kind of gives you that larger scope.
Yeah, it, like you say, and I've taught this many times, it doesn't, the intellectual capacity to discern when something is not right, it's not the most elevated place to be. It is a place of beginning. Like you see, oh, the room needs to be cleaned up. And how is it right that I move everything, I do everything a certain way in which, how is it right that I actually do it instead of waiting for someone else to do it? How is it right that I pick up the paper in front of my house instead of waiting for the street sweepers? How is it right? It's like all of those things are what get you to ultimately having this reservoir of right action.
Yeah.
It's like, then it moves you to right action. Right action means that you're going to manifest right doings. So, but it starts first with our thinking, and then our emotions, and then our movement, and then we get the results of it.
I got a question for you before we jump to the next practice. For people who may be listening and wondering, man, this sounds so simple, call for right thinking. What are your thoughts on that?
It is simple. We are living in a world that is not oriented, nor does it reward those things that are elevating. It rewards, we look at an ad and we see a pizza and we see the hot bubbly cheese and we remember the aroma and how it smells. And then we are rewarded by knowing we can just make a phone call and it will come to our house in a box. We're rewarded by that. We're not rewarded by the fact that you wanted to have a salad or broccoli sandwich, or that it is not glorified and pictured in the ads. It is not available to be Ubered to your house.
No, but in our home, it is delicious. It is highly regarded. But again, the world does not perceive or present these things as such.
The reward for all of the different things of the way we dress, the way we look, all of the rewards for the things that are being pushed in there's always something that is distasteful about the end result. like maybe you'll gain 50 pounds. Or maybe it
And
means
clog arteries.
all these things
Yeah.
are chemicals or the this
Mhm.
or the that. So the world we live in does not reward positive motion. So we are going against the tide to
Most
say,
certainly.
look for what is right in that. Look and see, how is a thing right? How is it right that you should eat right? How is it right that you shouldn't be hooked on white sugar? How is it right that you shouldn't eat table salt? Why is it we live in a world where our salt and sugar are poison? How is it that we can make that right? My house doesn't have either of those things in it, and hasn't. I can't remember how many decades it's been. So how is it right that my house is stocked that way? So this whole diet, we can see what's wrong. We can all see how the children behave. We can all see what's wrong with their diet. We can all see that they're not being cared for by people we take them to appropriately. So all of that is showing up. So that is a very important idea, that we can see and have judgment against what doesn't work, but how can we see how we can be part of the solution that makes it right? What one thing can you do that would make to offset in the world that we live in? Could you, if you ate right, would that offset some of what the wrong is? If you were willing yourself to go out of your way to go and do that, if you grew your food, would that offset it? And then if other people saw you doing it, and then if everyone did it, and it is our world, we are responsible. Is it right for us to do the thing that would make us whole and correct? So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I answered the question.
It's simple yet powerful, and I think above and beyond. So we got one more in us.
Yes.
And this is one of our newer practices. So many people are familiar with us. Very strong advocates of calling forth the divine feminine, and we've been recently introducing the idea of divine masculine, merging of both of these energies. We often speak about how we are both polarities. You got a left brain and a right brain. And, even though we've been using one side of our brain, we haven't even been using the full one side. We've been using the one side in detriment and completely ignoring the other half. So would you speak a little bit about this idea?
We are enthusiasts. The logo for of the sun, which is an organism. We are a living, thriving, breathing organism called Of the Sun. And at Of the Sun, the logo is a crop circle that was found in the crops in England, an ancient symbol of the divine feminine. And it is our logo. And we have spent years calling for the power of the divine feminine to come back into our world. And the divine feminine is one of two polarities of creation. And we are all the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And we are now calling for the return of the divine masculine to come into our world along with the divine feminine. We call for the divine feminine to be in honor, respect, and gratitude as a solution. So it is not only our greeting, it is a solution to what's going on in the world, but we also call for the divine masculine. And of course, there are many wonderful attributes, but we call upon integrity, discipline, and action from the divine masculine to come back into our world. And this is something that doesn't exist in its fullness here. And we're calling for it to come forth from each of us, my divine feminine and my divine masculine, your divine feminine and your divine masculine, because we must be together. As our brain is in our skull, both sides are together so that we can best function to build a new world and a new reality. It's necessary that we not be opposed to one another or be in dissidence with one another. And so if we see a power of honor, respect, and gratitude, and then integrity, discipline, and action, we now are an equation.
Most certainly.
That can survive what's coming. So if you didn't write it down, I'm offering this especially to people, women who are raising male children, who have fathers, brothers, lovers, and boys to every day call for the divine masculine to return into our world through integrity, discipline, and action. You are encouraged to spend at least 10 minutes a day calling for this, maybe 2 or 3 times a day if you have children who need these particular frequencies. I have had mothers who have told me, oh my God, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. I needed to have something that related to my male children and our female children. And we are both of those things. And we are hopping around on one leg because we are not compatible with the rest of ourselves. So that's what I'm saying about that.
I think for me, one of the biggest things with this is making us a whole being.
Yes.
And if we look at the equations of life, it's always that those two poles are one and the same, just different extremes. And we can see the masculine and feminine in everything, even in the artificial, in the electrical outlets. You take the plug, you put it into the outlet, you got electricity. Breath, inhale, exhale, left brain, right brain, it's everywhere. But again, somewhere along the lines, we popped ourselves out of the truth, and this is a solution to return back, and it's effective as well.
Form follows function.
Most certainly.
And the design of a woman and the design of a man are the function of one idea.
Yeah.
It's form follows the function. The function is that we work together, and the electrical outlet is iteration of a representation of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in their physical capabilities, but they also are the two polarities in the spiritual realm.
This encompasses larger principles and greater levels of reality.
And wherever we are in our development, wherever you can see what's right in that, move into that.
Slide into the pocket.
Because whatever movement you make towards your own greatness, your own wholeness, your own authenticity, you have made a move towards bettering your experience. All things will follow, because once you're in this level of understanding and occupation with the truth of the universe will collapse the things that are not in harmony with that reality. They are not going to be fed anymore. It's not even so much that they collapse, but it's more that your willingness to think something else that's greater and supports the greater truth collapses all the lies.
Yeah. There's no room, no attractor field for it. I was just thinking how the idea of divine feminine, divine masculine could be a podcast all in itself, because just exploring those tenets that we're focused on, although there are more for both polarities, honor, respect, gratitude, the power that's contained within it, and how it is pretty absent in the lives of many humans. And once it's reintroduced, the world completely changes. And then this idea of integrity in a world where we lack that. We see it within our corporations, we see it within our relationships. Having the appropriate action to take, to move forward on ideas, to release passivity. All of these different things, they, in its most practical iteration, are transformational for the human.
Absolutely.
But
We
again,
see it in everything. We can see it in insurance companies. We can see it in the military. We can see it in politics. We can see it in the many lawsuits of the Anglican and the Catholic Church. We can see that there's no integrity. There's no discipline. The action doesn't support those things. The action that we see does not support those categories. The honor, respect, and gratitude that we must give to each other as acknowledgement that we are each valuable must be given because we have gone to the furthest extent of the distance away from that in our current experience.
We dancing on the edge. Dangerous territory.
We are hanging by our fingernails on the edge of the cliff.
Pull up, humanity.
So these are our offerings to you today. We hope this will help with your life, with your companions, with your family, with your children, with all of those in your life. This idea that we are to be valued. We are multidimensional. We are enough. And those who are not in accord with us being that may need to reconsider on their own dime, so to say. They may need to, if this doesn't fit for them, they may need to wait until the reality does suit them, where that they can see that they're part of something better and greater, and that love and honor and respect are deserved, that integrity and discipline and action are necessities for a new world. So you're going to pull the card for truth for today. What is your question?
Let's see the truth as it relates to the engagement or necessity of the various energy hygiene practices we discuss.
Okay.
And our card pulled for the day is the theme sacred, which it's green for the heart chakra. And the maxim is, you are the vessel of heaven and earth energy. And I mean, if we work our way backwards, masculine and feminine, that's that heaven and earth.
And Father, Son, and Mother Earth. Absolutely. That the direction from the divine masculine coming down to the earth, where the earth under the black dirt of the earth then produces life through the direction of the sun and with the power of the sun. It's quite beautiful. We hope that this speaks to your heart and that you will participate in some of these practices to your greatest and highest interest. We thank you with honor, respect, and gratitude.